What's up, Gear Mortals? Trey, Xavier here, and on today's edition of Gear God's Quality Control, we're going to be taking a look at the Gizmotron. So hopefully you've gathered at least a vague idea of what the Gizmotron does from the demo that you just saw. But in case it wasn't that clear, I'm going to explain it to you. So the Gizmotron was actually invented back in the 70s and was recently resuscitated after a very long period of not being manufactured. And I think part of the reason is that way back then they didn't have the means to manufacture something to the specs that it needed to be. So basically, they fell apart a lot, they didn't work the way that they were supposed to, and eventually they just fell by the wayside. The company went out of business. And then recently, somebody bought the rights to the Gizmotron and produced the Gizmotron 2.0, which is what we've got here today. The Gizmotron is basically a mechanical device for bowing each string on your guitar. You can think of the Gizmotron like 6 tiny little violin bows, one for each string on your guitar. And when you push these little levers down, it lowers that bow onto the string and gives you sound, just like a violin pulling the bow across a string. It gives you like a constant, endless, perfect sustain. So what it actually is 6 little sawtooth wheels. And when you push them down, it goes up against this bar that rotates, at X number of revolutions per minute, the speed of which is adjustable by this little knob here. And it moves the sawtooth around and around. And when you push the spring down, it makes contact with the string. And each little sawtooth sort of plucks the string as it goes by really fast, so it sounds like it's being bowed. It achieves the same end as something like an E-bow or a sustainer or a sustainiac pickup, which is endless sustain. But the means by which it does it is very different. It's entirely mechanical, and because of this it has a very different sound and also gives you the option of this new type of attack that you're doing to your strings. With those other options, you're still basically either picking the string and then getting endless sustain, or like with an E-bow, it sort of gradually makes your string vibrate. And the Gizmotron gives you sort of instant but not hard attack like a pick. It gives you this sort of soft but like instant volume swell. The Gizmotron is really great because it gives us a brand new way to attack the strings of the guitar, and basically a whole new set of techniques that are very different from the way that you normally play the guitar. So I'm sort of treating it almost like it's a new instrument altogether that I magically know how to play because the left-hand stuff is all the same. The basic components of the Gizmotron are an on-off switch, a speed knob that allows you to control the speed of the RPMs of the sawtooth blades, and these 6 keys that you push down to make sound. One important thing to note about the Gizmotron is that it is not USB charged. It doesn't have an internal battery. It's USB powered, which means if you unplug this, it'll turn off. So it came with a really long USB cable, which is really handy. But what I recommend is going and getting one of these sort of cell phone power cell things that you use to charge your device via USB, because I use this for hours and hours of playtime on this thing. Plug it straight into here, and then you're mobile. So I highly recommend getting one of these. You can get them at like CVS, Walgreens, Best Buy, places like that. They're like 20 bucks, but it's gonna be way better than always having to be tethered to the closest power outlet. If you practice with it a little bit, you can also get some volume swells and dynamics just by pushing down a little bit harder or softer. So I think the Gizmotron is one of the coolest new inventions for the guitar to come along in the 20 years that I've been playing. It's really, really fun to use. It makes you think about the guitar in a whole new way. Now, it's a little hard to install, okay? Not anything that you can't handle if you're reasonably handy, okay? I was able to do it, but it took, you know, some serious finagling. It's not for the faint of heart. It's really an investment. I mean, it's something that you can put on and take off of any guitar, but it's not like you can just pop it on and off, all right? It's kind of like you dedicate that guitar to be your Gizmotron guitar, okay? This is now my Gizmotron guitar. So it has these little metal mounts that are held on with sort of this double stick adhesive stuff that you can take off if you decide that you don't want to use the Gizmotron on this guitar anymore. And you can unmount the whole unit and leave those on there, so you can just take it on and off to, you know, play your guitar just like a regular guitar, or to clean it or adjust it or whatever. Change the springs, which is something you have to do sometimes if one of them gets bent. It's a little bit of an investment of time and tinkering that you're going to have to do with it to get it set up and dialed in, but it is absolutely worth every second. It's so much fun to play and really, really cool and very different. I mean, you'll probably be the first kid on your block to have one if you get one. So I know I am. I highly recommend you get something to mute the strings with. I'm using a Groove Gear fret wrap, but you know, you can use a piece of foam or a hair tie or whatever. Just something to mute the strings for when you're playing single note lines, because you can't palm mute with this. It's just in the way. So that's something that you should keep in mind. Just like a piece of furniture from IKEA, they send you all the tools you need to install and adjust the Gizmotron. Now, you're going to need all of them. So some of them are little Torx, 2 different kinds of Torx wrenches, an Allen wrench, and a screwdriver. So the Torx are for taking on and off the little sawtooth wheels and changing out the springs, which is a little bit of a pain in the ass. And then the Allen wrench is for taking the Gizmotron on and off of the guitar, which I'll show you how to do in a second. And then the screwdriver is for adjusting the actual little levers where they go in relation to the strings, which is going to be very important when dialing in the sound of the Gizmotron. So here's how you take the thing on and off. As you might be able to hear, it's a tiny bit noisy because it's a mechanical device, but if you're plugged into a loud amp playing with a band, you're never going to hear it. One of my favorite things about the Gizmotron is the ability to do cool, wide string skips with zero effort from your right hand. I mean, super easy. You can also get different tones by varying the speed of the speed knob. So like, it's a little hard to do while you're playing, but if you're tricky enough, you can do it with your thumb while you're holding down a note. Because of the nature of the Gizmotron and the way that it attacks the strings, it's a little soft coming out. The output is a little bit lower than when you hit it with a pick. So I recommend using something like a boost or a compressor or something immediately after the guitar to raise the level of the sound coming out. So the Gizmotron is for sure not for everyone. It's a highly specialized sound, and you either like it or you don't. If you're like me and you had the same reaction that I did, you're definitely gonna have to get one, okay? I had to have it, I had to have it. So if you have to have it, head over to the Gizmotron website and check it out. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe for more reviews and original content. Holy crap, tell me that's not the coolest thing. I'm playing the guitar, but a flute is coming out.